podcast is called The Limelight. It's brand new. We're going to be launching with our first episodes next week. I guess take a step back. Our company, Castos, we're a podcast hosting platform. So we're like a Libsyn or something that you might use. Hopefully just a lot better. We have several podcasts that we're already doing, and we're adding several more. And the goal of this one in particular is to talk to podcasters like yourself across as wide a possible a breadth of the podcasting space as we can. You know, the one thing we find is that podcasters kind of stick in their lane a lot, which is cool, but we want this show to be representative of like the podcasting world as a whole, which is cool and super challenging, but really fulfilling for me. And like doing these interviews, we've done about 10 of them so far. It's amazing the consistent threads that happen, but for really, really different types of podcasts, people with different experiences and their goals with their shows. So that's really what we're trying to like draw out of this. It's like you and your experience as a podcaster, and then like two really specific things. One is like a thing you learned that you would like to tell your younger self. And I'm sure you have a bunch of them. It sounds like you do in life in general, which is super cool. And then like a really interesting thing about your show. You know, I think that's the thing we can kind of celebrate most is like all of our shows are really different and in cool ways. And hopefully have this be kind of a platform for you to share that with folks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're talking about podcasting today, which is a good timing because in 3 weeks, we're launching our new website we have 2 new podcasts coming out. I got one coming out in June, which is the SteinTime show, which is comedians, actors, filmmakers, more entertainment related as opposed to long shot stories. And then Bulletor, which is in October, which I run an outdoor products company, like a tarp and camping company. So I am launching a patented branded product line. Hopefully it'll be like the next Yeti. It's called Bulletor. And we're going to have outdoor influencers talk about their outdoor adventure stories on that one. So that's what
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Expanding the podcasting.
Yeah. Tell me about the decision to start the 2 new shows.
I'm doing stand-up. I've done stand-up comedy off and on since I'm 19 years old. And my kids are getting a little older. They're 17 and 14. They're like, okay, we're good, And I'm like, okay, I've done my parenting. I'm going to go back to doing stand-up. I wasn't a filmmaker and actor, but I'm going to go back to acting too, but filmmaking just takes so much time. So the podcast SteinTime show is more about me reengaging in my stand-up comedy career and all that. First things first is Bulletor and that's what makes the money. Yeah. But so that's the SteinTime show, and then Bulletor, which is a whole branded product line, new business. The fulfillment will be done out of our facility here in Georgetown, Texas. But and we've been on Longshot Leaders. I've past year, I've had a lot of outdoor influencers banking them in for the launch of Bulletor. Yeah. So it's been premeditated, but that's the 2 impetus for the, and I'm going to be doing my own commercials for Bulletor. So that's so it's like they're all interrelated, so.
That's cool. I have a question about that. Cause like, we're kind of developing a network of sorts. We call it Castos Originals. It sounds like you're having a network as well, but somewhat related at least, kind of podcasts across your varied interests. How do you think about tying those all together in a consistent way for what are probably kind of like varied audiences?
Yeah, not really tying them in.
No? Okay.
It's basically it'll show it on the website, but the avatar of the customers are so different. First of all, Longshot Leaders is basically entrepreneurs, people that are like into personal development, people that want to hear, somebody that started from a low point and what is the algorithm of, what created their success. SteinTime show is where can I swear?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, just fuck around, just be like, it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It's a totally different person. It's like taking off one hat, literally, is where this is Michael, who's an actor, comedian, he's not the person that, talks about personal development business on Longshot Leaders. Bulletor is basically, a little bit of both, maybe probably swaying towards SteinTime, but talking about outdoor adventures. For me, even though I run an outdoor company, I'm a fish out of water.
Okay.
When it comes to like outdoors. So, but it's still got more comedic, edge to it, so
Got it.
because it's, so anyways, they're all different, but, I value podcasting so much because it's such a great tool to meet new people, to promote, and also the consciousness level. I might be eating the dessert before the dinner here, but that's the value of of podcasting, is that it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You get to learn so much from all these people. It's like it's amazing. It's just, the absorption of knowledge is just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I tell our team, and in other episodes I've talked about this, that like the real reason I want to do this show is to learn from awesome people, right? And if we can share it with the world, right, we'll put it on YouTube, we'll put it on Apple Podcasts and stuff. That's cool, but like pretty selfishly, like I want to do this for me so I can keep leveling my game up as a podcaster and as a creator. And I've been doing this 8 years. We have like 500-600 episodes. And I still feel like I know nothing. Like I turn the mic on sometimes. I'm like, oh, this is foreign some days. So yeah, I totally respect that. The comprehension level and the retention level on when you interviewing somebody is more than listening. I mean, when I'm listening, when you're interviewing somebody, you're having a relationship, the Banda loop of who you're talking to. So you're totally engaged. I'm doing the outbound today, but usually I'm listening, and I'm say, I want to be able to engage, so the absorption and the retention is, you get so much more knowledge by interviewing somebody than you do by passively listening, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Was the decision to make, I hear you. Was the decision for kind of these new content channels, like always podcasting first? Are you doing video? Are you doing kind of long form written content? Like, how does that decision play out? Because like we always think about like, okay, we want to create this piece of content, and then the decision is like, okay, what format should that live in? How did that decision go for you, or is it always just podcast first?
Podcast first, and then video second. Now, as far as SteinTime show, it might be a little bit more parity between the two. But, definitely maybe about the same with, Bulletor, but I think that, it's podcasting is just such an easy medium. As to where video, you got to really, there's so much post work, there's so much work to do afterwards to get it out there and, as to where, podcasting, you're able to leverage it. You're able to put processes in place and save a lot of time and still get exposure out there and engage in everything.
Yeah, awesome. I would love to hear more about Longshot Leaders. So you have some really high caliber guests on, and would love to just hear about how that show has evolved. It looks like a really unique spin on the kind of entrepreneurial journey podcast that is so kind of ubiquitous out there, but looks like this is a very original kind of version of that. Like how has that evolved over time for you?
Just, originally just said, I want to tell the stories of, it started off, tell the stories. Somebody started from a low point and, went to a high point, but really now it hasn't changed too much, but the one paradigm shift in it is what's the algorithm? That's really what I want to get at with it. What's the algorithm when somebody's starting at such a low point? And it doesn't have to be just monetarily. It could be physical. It could be financial. It could be spiritual or whatever. This low point, and how do these people get to a high point and sustain the high point? So what's the algorithm? I'm trying to find commonality between all those traits, from the incipient stages of their life to, I ask them, what's your long-term plan for the rest of your life? And that's a long journey to go, but I try to encapsulate that between 35 to, 45 minutes. But sometimes, I'll talk to, sometimes it's more skill set afterwards. Somebody will have a long shot story and then they'll have a skill. Like I talked to somebody who got stabbed in a movie theater about an hour ago. I talked to him, he got stabbed in a movie theater. He was by himself, young guy, just decided to, catch a movie and waste some time. And somebody just randomly stabbed him, and he was in a coma for a week, and he was a healthy guy. But then this whole reevaluation of his life, and then he invented, or he kind of doubled down on researching body and mind. So we talked about the Longshot story, and then there's some skill set. It'd be silly not to get into the skill set of all the things that he learned. So we do that a little bit, everybody. It's certain people are like, a little bit more skill set heavier, but I always try to tell a Longshot story because usually the people we're talking to, pretty much everybody, has this level of success.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you find it, like, as an interviewer, do you find it difficult to like pull those stories and like the emotions of them out of the guest, or are most folks like pretty willing to share?
Everybody's different, right? Okay. But usually, if you're selfless, if you're interested in people, I am more better interviewing people than I'm an interviewer. I have no problem talking about myself, but I'm more or less like, I'm interested in like knowing about you. What's Greg Hewitt? What's he all about? What's his mom and dad do for a living? These are inherent questions like, like where did he grow up? What was like the inciting incident that changed his life? And those are the kind of things that I inherently think about. So, I do better asking the questions.
There you go.
But,
That's cool. I ask only because I think that a lot of times new podcasters are scared to get really emotional and really deep with their guests. And I think that's such a missed opportunity because like this is we use the term intimate, right? It's such an intimate conversation and relationship we have with our listeners. Like you're in their ear for an hour on the drive or at the gym or whatever. And I think for people to scratch the surface and not go deep is such a miss. And I think it's something that a lot of new podcasters are scared of. So it sounds like probably your experience with kind of like theater and stuff is got you over that hump, maybe.
Well, yeah. In the beginning of the first year, some of my friends that, were making fun, like were joking with me because I would always have somebody cry.
Yeah.
Somebody
there you go.
Crying, the first year, and I wasn't trying to do that, but I'm trying to, I'm getting engaged and I'm trying to, there's a level of trust there when I'm sincere, I'm sitting here. I talked to an astronaut and he was on the space station for 8 months. And I said, that was amazing. I said, I got to tell you, I think I said this in the pregame. I don't think I said it during the episode. I said, I don't know how you could do that for 8 months. I could spend 8 months, because I was a nightclub promoter for like 7 years, when I was younger. And I could spend 8 months talking to people about them and their life and how this works, the human experience to me. Probably if I didn't do any of this, I'd probably be like a psychiatrist or a psychologist, because I enjoy people, the journey of people's minds. So when they could trust me and I try to find the rhythm, the old adage is, don't treat somebody how you want. Treat somebody how you want to be treated. I always thought that was bullshit. Treat somebody how they want to be treated, as long as it doesn't conflict with who you are. And then people trust you because, and it's not fake because you're sincerely, treating them how they want to be treated. You're going at the pace they want to go. You're interested in what they're saying. So then they trust you, and then it opens them up to be more vulnerable. And then they'll talk about a personal story, and then they'll end up crying. And I'm reacting, as they're building up to that vulnerable point. I'm engaged with them and I'm sincere, and they're looking at me and I'm looking at them. So but I try to not dig too deep sometimes, depending on, what's going on with them, I try to because you got to tell a story also. And, I try not, sometimes in the beginning, your episodes are a little longer, sometimes they have to be long. I did a Holocaust survivor and I was like, that was like 2.5 hours because it had to be, because you're not going to cut them off after 7 people just got killed and they came to him.
Right.
Right. It's like, so everybody's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as that's concerned.
Coincidentally, we try to keep this show really short, and it's just like a conscious decision to say, hey, we want it to be like 10 or 15 minutes. And it's super hard. I've never done a short form show before, and I find myself really having to stay disciplined because my natural kind of tendency is like a 45-minute show. So yeah, definitely hear you.
Those are fun though. I did some show this morning. Somebody's like, yeah, we got 15 minutes. I'm like, great,
Let's do it.
So it was like your improv. It was like, okay, we're flying along here, and they give you permission to be that fast. And I like going at those fast pace too. So.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So I'd love to hear like biggest lesson learned or thing that you would want to tell like a younger podcasting you.
well, as far as a younger, somebody that wants to get in podcast, a younger me in general, I would say slow the fuck down.
Okay.
Calm down. Don't rush. Take your time and plan things out. But that can be applied for podcasting. I spent like a good year YouTubing, like I'd work out and watch YouTube, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this podcasting thing, but I really want to plan it out. I'm a big believer, wasn't this way in the beginning of my life, but a big believer of preparation, and building, make sure you have a nice, easy, steady flow of success. I don't believe in like, if holding on too long. If you got 95% planned out, don't wait for the last 5%, just go. Speed is important also. So I would say, prepare, backdate it, set your back date, know when you're going to start, make sure that you have a lot of episodes in the bank, never skip a day, be consistent, keep your niche, don't deviate from your niche, and keep it super simple, KISS, right?
Yep.
And many other things, but those are the golden rules.
Gotcha. We talked about John Lee Dumas a little bit before we started recording, but has he been one of kind of your big, I'll say like inspirations or kind of like educators in your podcasting journey?
Yeah, he was on the show. And I listened to him before I started the show, and he's at McDonald's, when you go to McDonald's, they have they made it so easy to order for the people that work there. They have buttons, John Lee Dumas has made podcasting, how to do a podcast, so simple. He was like, it was very easy to listen to him. And he has a great audio tape on podcasting, and he's just, that guy that kind of vetted it out really nicely for young podcasters to learn. So I would suggest going to listen to John Lee Dumas on his audio book. And he's got other things, to help you along the way as far as podcasting. And then I YouTube the shit out of like everything on podcasting as well to get and I'm a big believer in spreadsheets too, as far as like your dates and your checklists. There's a lot of things to do in the beginning of everything, but podcasting has like moving parts. Like you do need a great microphone. You need a mixer, get the Rodecaster. It's important, because it's just, it sets it up nice. You should try to get a VA if you could afford it. Maybe two, one to do the editing, one to do the posting, one to do, to do your blog, go to Fiverr to get somebody to do your website, I can go on, but, plan ahead so you have a lot of stuff in the bank. But John Lee Dumas is to me the go-to guy that makes it nice and simple.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just wrap up with, and again, we mentioned this before we started recording, I think one of the really, really cool things that you did in helping us prepare for this show, which is like the true mark of like a pro, is you have an about page of like how to interview me. And that's great. Like, I think it's a tip that I would share with everyone, and we'll include a link to it in the show notes, is like, make it easy for people who want to interview you to get past the fluff, right? And get into the meat of the matter. Cause I think that's where a lot of podcasters fall down early on, is like, hey, let's not like cover the same surface level crap that you've heard from Michael Stein and 20 other podcast episodes. But like, let's get past that and get down to the kind of the meat of the matter that's beneath the surface.
Yeah. John Lee Dumas did this. That's where I got the idea. And I said, well, this is genius. So basically what I do on my page, on the about page of our website, is like, don't be presumptuous. Not everybody knows who you are, right? So, who is this guy? Why is he doing a podcast? What's the whole point? I want to know. So, and also I like things when they're parsed out and like, then this happened, this and that happened, this happened. That's how I actually talk, or I talk to somebody. Well, let's go to the beginning. How did that happen? Yeah. So I kind of wrote by like, this is why I do a show called Longshot Leaders. It's a great way to promote yourself. So somebody, because when was the last time you regurgitated all your accolades, and then you kind of looked at it and say, hey, it's been a good life. I kept it honest. I was like, look, this is what I fucked up on. These are the good milestones. That's something to be proud of, so you want to look at that, for yourself, but also you want to be able to tell people, this is who I am. This is why I'm doing it. Oh, by the way, I want to know more about you. Well, there it is right there. And then, if somebody wants to interview you, it's like, here's pretty much, my diary of my life and what I'm all about. and you can see it, in a timeline fashion, and it makes things really simple. I'm really big on like setting up like processes, automations, and whatever I can't put in a process or automation, I try to leverage, and try to keep at least off my plate as possible. So that biography was one of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Awesome. Michael Stein from Longshot Leaders, thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.